Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers.
When football players want to kneel, they are in the tradition of people exercising First Amendment rights. If the government tried to stop them, it would violate the Constitution. It doesn't do that when an owner tries to stop them. But it gets close in this sense, and just the sense that you were raising. And that is, they're exercising a right to protest. They're engaging in a sort of speech. And it's the sort of speech, even though it's not words, it's the sort of expression, which is also at the core of First Amendment-like protection.
In the First Amendment, it is voiced that any American has the right to speak their mind relating to America and its peoples.
My name is Tara McCartney, and I'm an instructional coach with the Elk Grove Unified School District. As teachers, we have to be really careful about exercising the freedom of speech because we don't want to impart our opinions onto our students. Our students should be able to create their own opinions. So as teachers, we have to be careful, especially when it comes to politics, that we don't try to get them to vote for one person over another person.
All colleges, therefore, must protect free speech. Public institutions must adhere to the various guarantees of our First Amendment. Too often, all of these fundamental principles have been under assault. Even worse, some people who have exercised their First Amendment rights have themselves been assaulted. As a result, those who would curtail free speech have been emboldened, and those who disagree with the prevailing orthodoxy have been censored or chilled from speaking freely.
Hi, my name is Cassie Huey, and I'm a lawyer that lives in Chicago, Illinois. And so I don't think colleges should be trying to take any sort of position on substantive arguments or differing viewpoints or viewpoints that might be in the minority. But at the same time, there are some viewpoints that some might view as threatening to themselves.
When speaking about this topic, the main subject brought up would be the so-called hate speech and the censorship of free speech on places like college campuses. Some examples of people having their message censored would be edited versions of television shows and explicit songs. However, this is done for a reason. It is normal for parents to not want their kids to hear bad language because they don't want the kids to catch on and start saying it.
I do. I know when I'm in different roles, I speak differently to different people. As a mom, I speak to my kids in a certain way. I certainly wouldn't go up to my supervisor and speak the same way to my supervisor the way that I speak to my children. So you have to know your role in the situation, where you're at, and you kind of adjust accordingly. It doesn't mean that you change who you are, because all of those would be parts of me. But it does mean that I have to consider who my audience is and then address my audience appropriately.
I don't speak to anybody any different than I would if they're poor, rich, ethnic group, or race, or even their religious beliefs. We speak to them all the same.
So, in this case, is vocal censorship needed? The answer to this question depends on how you look at it. Going back to college campuses, many students reserve the right to speak freely and protest against issues they feel strong about.
So college campuses should be a place where you can explore lots of different opinions. And as a college student, you should be learning new things and exploring different opinions, hearing different viewpoints. So I think it's fundamental that on college campuses, we are certainly hearing from lots of different groups, lots of different viewpoints.
I think one of the big issues that will be presented to the Supreme Court in a number of different ways is how First Amendment issues relate to other people's rights in different contexts, such as like healthcare or commercial settings. We saw it recently in the Supreme Court case about the cakes for gay marriage, and I think the Supreme Court is going to have to find a way to balance people's interests and beliefs, but also protecting people's rights. And so those are going to be competing interests that will play out in First Amendment jurisprudence coming up in the next years.
Nobody should be denied the right to speak.
In order to be a true American citizen, it is fundamental to know your rights. Free speech is one of many rights granted to U.S. citizens. It is a crucial part of fully living the American experience. So, what does it mean to be American? Being an American means speaking your piece, communicating ideas, and contributing to society through the power of your voice. It may be true that actions speak louder than words, but sometimes words can make a monumental difference.